Chapter 1 Gates of the Night. A small apartment, situated in a neighborhood sleeping quietly in the city's gray night, was where Evan had recently moved. The faded paint on the walls and old carpets in this modest dwelling carried the traces of a past that had left behind an air of mystery. Evan's life had entered a new phase, with his move to this apartment due to a job change. Initially captivated by the historical charm of this old building, everything suddenly changed one night. Startled awake from a deep sleep, Evan sensed an unusual sound circulating in his room. At first, he dismissed this sound as the gentle rustle of the wind. However, as he listened more carefully, he realized there was more to this sound. The atmosphere in his room had changed, as if an enigmatic energy had intoxicated it. Sitting at the edge of his bed, Evan felt a slight vibration coming from the walls. There was a strange energy circulating within the apartment, as if the ghosts of the past had gathered to share sleepless nights. As his eyes scanned the room, he noticed an old clock standing in one corner. The clock, representing the slow passage of time, counted the minutes as if narrating the stories of the past with each tick-tock. Evan's body was filled with the peculiar energy of the room. Taking a deep breath, he thought that this old apartment concealed the echoes of its past. A shadow appeared in a corner, resembling a human form, but seemingly not belonging to Evan's home. This mysterious entity, although taking on the form of a person, seemed disconnected from his world. Huddled in his bed, Evan, surrounded by the shadows that filled the room, made eye contact with this mysterious entity. However, the shadow vanished from the room without any response. For a moment, Evan questioned whether the event was real yet. The anxiety he felt and the strange energy in the room confirmed that this incident was a result of something beyond the ordinary. Sleep-deprived and bewildered, Evan decided to embark on a journey to uncover the mystery behind this enigmatic event. In this apartment, he knew he had to confront the ghosts of the past. That night, Evan's world trembled in mystery and fear. What had happened that intertwined his life with a dark and past-laden story in this modest apartment? This question was the key that shaped Evan's nightmares. Chapter 2 Dance of Shadows. Determined to unravel the truth behind the mysterious event of the previous night, Evan set out early in the morning from his apartment. He began researching the history of the building, scanning through old newspapers, talking to neighbors, and following the traces of the past. Evan suddenly discovered a series of mysterious events in the building's history. The building had once served as an orphanage, and during that time, many children had mysteriously disappeared. Evan knew that the ghosts of these missing children had visited him. However, his investigation revealed a darker connection between these events and an abandoned cemetery. After the orphanage, an abandoned graveyard had been constructed, connected to the building through underground tunnels. As he delved deeper into his research, Evan decided to descend into the basement of the building. The dark tunnels led him toward the graveyard. The dim lights on the tunnel walls were filled with old photographs revealing the traces of the past. The joyful faces of children confronted Evan, forcing him to confront this dark past. Upon reaching the graveyard, The same sensation he felt on the night of the mysterious event overcame him. Shadows dancing among the gravestones seemed to echo the ancient tragedies. Evan suspected that the children from the orphanage were buried here. The graveyard appeared to be a transit point, gathering place for the lost souls of those children. Standing by a grave, Evan tried to understand the story of these children. Suddenly, he heard childlike voices amidst the surrounding shadows. Laughter and the happiness of children filled the air. However, a dark energy lingered beneath the surface. Among the children, the ghost of an old matron, who had failed to make the children feel safe and took her own life after losing them, appeared. Evan attempted to comprehend the story of this matron. In the midst of the shadows that surrounded him, he suddenly heard children's voices. The laughter and joy of the children seemed to hold the innocence of the past. However, an underlying dark energy was palpable. Among the children, the ghost of a former matron who, after losing the children, had taken her own life manifested. Learning that this tragic event was the source of the mysterious presence in his apartment, Evan decided to guide the ghosts of the children and the matron. However, another entity emerged as he did so. A dark figure, once a resident of the orphanage who had taken their own life, was attempting to control the ghosts. Evan realized he had to confront this dark entity. This entity, born from its own pain, sought revenge by trying to control the spirits of others. Chapter 3. Silence of the Cemetery. The graveyard became a battlefield as Evan faced this dark entity. Shadows ceased their dance, and the laughter of children turned into agonizing screams. Armed with an old oak branch he had torn from the graveyard's soil, Evan endeavored to stop this malevolent force. The ancient oak branch touched the spirits of the past, and the souls of the children and the matron began to break free from the influence of the dark entity. Finally, the graveyard fell silent. The dance of shadows ceased. The voices of children subsided, and the matron found peace. However, the dark entity, one last desperate struggle, resisted. Nevertheless, Evan's determination and defiance against the pains of the past rendered this dark force powerless. In the end, the graveyard was quiet. The souls of the children and the matron seemed to have found the peace they had long awaited. Evan, having experienced the intensity of this night, left the graveyard and returned to his building. Upon entering his apartment, Evan felt a sense of peace in his room, although the apartment still held the mysterious memories of the past. Evan's inner turmoil had transformed into tranquility and acceptance. From that day forward, the silence of the apartment, though carrying the mysterious memories of the past, was no longer a haunting shadow. Evan, through the lessons drawn from this experience, discovered the power of forgiving the ghosts of the past and living in harmony with them.